Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
What is up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, April 25th, the last Thursday before the first Saturday of May. And this is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
What's up, man? Yeah, it's going to be a good show. We've got a tattoo on the line here on the show in about 3 minutes. We'll see if a follower of the Racing Dudes is going to get a Racing Dudes tattoo. So we've got that along with Derby coverage. So it should be a lot of fun.
What are you talking about?
If the 10 wins the 8th race at Keeneland coming up in 3 minutes, Curtis Manlow is going to get a Racing Dudes tattoo.
Oh, you got
And
it.
I have no idea why you would get a Racing Dudes tattoo because the 10 is certainly not a Racing Dudes pick. But if he wins it, he's going to get a tattoo. So we'll see what happens.
Is there anything like, can you kind of give a little bit of background of how this came about?
No, I can't. I just heard about it like 2 minutes ago. I guess he's live to the 10 and the 11 and the pick 5 or pick 6, I'm guessing at Keeneland. And the 10 is 30-1. And he said, hey, if the 10 wins, I'm getting a Racing Dudes tattoo. So we've got a lot on the line as we kick off the show, Jared. This is big time stuff.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, 30-1. Got Luis Saez on board though. Hey,
yeah.
You know, that's something.
Yeah. So this is going to be interesting to see if we get that first tattoo of a Racing Dudes, if it's going to happen here. It's very intriguing. Like I said, we're 2 minutes to the post, so it's a good way to kind of get this thing kicked off.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, and there's nothing better than having, let's be honest. We're all gamblers here. If you have anything on the line, and this is about as big as on the line as you can have.
Yep.
You know, it's one of the first though, right? Because you got a tattoo of Racing Dudes, didn't you, on your bicep?
No, I didn't. That's barbed wire, actually.
Oh yeah, that's right. That I'm thinking of the one right on your lower back, the Racing Dudes you got.
Nope, that's a 4-leaf clover.
Oh, I thought that was a target you had there. No. Anyways, so yeah, we'll be watching this as we kind of get prepared for it. Yeah, this is it, guys. And Halterman, you just kind of stop me if they're getting ready to load or this is going, and we'll watch it. But yeah, they're drawing awesome. It's going to awesome this year. They're drawing it on Saturday now, so you know we're still sort of in that holding pattern. So it's just like we're waiting to see what these horses are gonna where they're gonna draw on Saturday, and then of course once Saturday hits and we see the draw, I believe it's someone can give me an exact time. I think it's in the evening though, Saturday evening. So I'm guessing once we have that, dude, it's just basically Saturday to Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday is gonna just be. I mean, you kind of mentioned it yesterday, dude. It's like, yeah, the Derby's one race though. There's two. If you look at Oaks and Derby Day, there's how many races did you say total? 27.
Yeah, there'll be 27 races most likely, unless they change something up this year. So that's the thing. Like the Derby for me is one thing, and then there's 26 other ones too. So yeah, I mean, I am beyond thrilled that they're going to draw everything on Saturday because I'll get to work and. Instead of locking myself in a room Monday, Tuesday, and part of Wednesday, it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then Tuesday, I mean, there's really no reason why you're not going to have all your handicapping information that you purchased from us, meaning the Bible, because you got plenty of time and it's just great. I mean, you got the whole weekend there to work on it and finish things up Monday, Tuesday-ish. So it's awesome. And then, you get all their stuff done and then you got John White and you got all of our shows, coming up that week. But the major handicapping can kind of be done. So it's great that they're doing it. I know we don't really know an exact time on the Derby yet, but that's okay with me as long as we get it on Saturday.
Yeah, just to kind of give everybody a little bit of at least a rough estimate of what to kind of expect. Tuesday is we're planning on having our annual John White podcast, so expect that to be out later on that day, depending on how long it goes. And so look for that. Also on Tuesday, maybe even to Wednesday, look for the first version of the Derby Oaks betting Bible that will be available. The way because we're going to try to get out as early as possible this year. So be expecting multiple versions, meaning, like maybe we hone it in. Like the picks won't change, but the commentary or things like that could change particular bets, obviously with horses scratching. So obviously it's a guide that or Bible that you're going to want to get the latest version, Friday morning, Saturday morning. But we're going to try to have multiple versions out there as soon as we can.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And that's, like I said, that's the beautiful thing about it. They did break it. Keeneland, the 10 is second to last. The 11 is last. And then I used the 9 also, who's fourth to last. So hopefully it falls apart in this race for everybody that's alive there and has those horses.
All right. The 10's a closer or maybe.
10 is a little wonky looking running style, but may just be getting his is it his or hers? I don't know, but getting their feet underneath themselves there a little bit. So Gabe said, will we be live with John White? Yes, we will be live. I don't know a time yet on Tuesday though, but it will be on Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah, Tuesday. We'll see, but it could be. It's definitely gonna. It's one of the most informative ones we do all year. It's a good one just to kind of to sit back and just listen, right?
Yeah, no,
that's what we do too. It's the easiest show we do all year for us because all we do is sit and listen.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun show. There's no doubt. I know who he's on, and he'll make his case, I'm sure, very well. Whether you like, I'm not going to give away who he's on, but whether you like the horse that he's going to talk about or not, I think by the end of the show, you're going to be like, yeah, he's got a shot. Whoever that is that he may be talking about. So we've cut the corner here. I don't think there's going to be a Racing Dudes tattoo. I can confirm that. We're going to try to get this 9 home, but he doesn't seem to want to run straight. We'll see what happens here. The 10 is making up ground, but he's not going to make up enough.
No.
The 9 is making up ground. Get up there. 9. Oh no. I don't know. I think the 9. That. 5 or 9.
Yeah. I think the 10 got 5th. So
the 10 definitely made a little bit of a run, but not a tattoo like run. I think the 9 got the bob, but I am not sure on this.
You think it did?
I think. I hope, because that's one of my best bets on the website today, but we'll see. And that would also get me live in the last pick 5. So I don't know.
Man, it was close. The 9 had it. If the 9 lost it, he lost it. He never had. The only time he did not have the lead was right there.
Yes,
because he had it. I don't know. Let me watch this back. We're talking about the 8th at the Keeneland, as on Thursday. If you guys are listening to this after the fact.
And this is I hit the early pick 5 and trying to stay alive in this late pick 5.
9. Oh, I think the 9 may have got his nose down.
The 5 probably should have won the race, but the 9 got an incredible bob. Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right, man.
I love it. Oh my goodness. Boy. That's the worst. If you had the 5, that's the worst bob in the history. And yes, the 5 absolutely did get there. He was ahead by a nose.
Maybe a dead heat, dude. That's that close.
I don't think it's a dead heat.
You think the 5 or the 9 got it?
Yep, I think the 9 got it.
It's so close.
Unless the wire's wonky, you just never know.
Yeah.
The 5, if you played the 5, that is gross. Here we go. Here's a up close. Well, you can't really tell there.
Yeah, they're showing the 9. So that's good for you.
Yeah. That was wild. Well, one race to go if he got it. So it'd be nice. Yep, there it is, the 9 official. Whew.
Never a doubt.
That's gonna be a great best bet for the website too. So that's great.
2-1, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we won't waste any time here, guys, because there's not a lot to kind of bullshit around this week. It's pretty cut and dry. We're like I say, we're kind of in a wait and see approach as we wait for the fields to get finalized here. But what we're gonna do is kind of run through the field as 9, 5, 4, 1. The 1 got 4th, and the 10 got 5th, I guess.
5th,
so
yeah.
Maybe like RD. Could that be an RD worthy? Just RD. That's all you get, right? Just a little tiny RD on the wrist. No,
I don't think 5th is worth anything, to be honest.
Yeah, if you could hit the board, maybe we could at least have a conversation. But
yeah.
All right. Yeah, we're not going to waste any time. So today's show, really just going to look at these horses one last time prior to the post position draw on Saturday. You know, what horses, kind of what's the perfect post for each contender? I mean, that's obviously very loosely based, but kind of what we believe is the most ideal post position for some of these. That's, I don't know, Haltzman, if you did this, but in my pre-videos, like kind of the updates of, or, you know, the five I did, for each horse, I kind of gave a like red light, green light, you know, how concerned I was for the, like what the imminent post position could be, right? Like if it means if it's detrimental, if, you know, it's like with fierceness, I'm like, yeah, it's a little bit mid-level. Sierra Leone, not so much, that kind of thing. So it's gonna be a good way to look at this and kind of see what horses might be kind of on the edge in terms of being in trouble if they drop a poor post. Then we're gonna kind of give you know, what horses are trending in the right direction. You know, what are we hearing from some of these connections, and kind of what the horse is working out and that kind of stuff. What we're hearing, again, like one final time, because once the post positions come out on Saturday, that all that kind of goes out the window, and you're straight up handicapping. You know, you're all the bullshit and all the what you hear say is going kind of out the window. It's like, you know, the posts, you know who's in, you can see the work or the post positions or the past performances in front of you, and you make your pick. So, without further ado, let's go. All right, let me pull up a latest. Where would be a latest list? Let me go to the Kentucky Derby site.
KentuckyDerby.com. Click on Derby horses on the menu there, and you'll have it.
There we go.
Oh, what a weird. Style Points paid $6.66 to win.
Whoa,
that's a weird.
I don't think you can accept that.
Yikes! What does that mean for me tomorrow? That's a terrible omen. Oh God!
Why would you like round up? Round up.
Ew. That's spooky. I don't know that I've seen that since they changed the system, and I mean, obviously that's possible now with the, you know, how they put, you know, they don't round up basically. So, whoo. Okay. All right. Feel a little freaky there, but that's all right.
That's like one that, I mean, like, how hard would it be just to say, you know what, 667 or 665, you know? It's just, come on, give it one way or the other.
It feels weird.
Oh shit. All right, guys. Okay, so we're gonna go through each one of these horses, and, you know, as we go, obviously kind of just, you know, loosely kind of go through these. And if you guys have comments, questions, thoughts, make sure you hit them up in the chat below. If you're watching this after the fact, make sure you hit those comments below, and we'll try to respond. And just kind of, again, get an idea. It's still very, like I say, it's still, you know, you don't have a lot to go off of. Hawthorne's made a point this year to kind of be like, you know what, I'm not really gonna dive too much into this until it's out, right? Because there's not a lot of reason to do that, because some things can come out the window if you kind of get too invested. So, yeah. Let's see. I got it. This Saturday is Derby 150 post positions, and we will find out where all 20 horses will be placed in the starting gate. And so we're going to take a look here at kind of who's in the field as it looks today, and who is kind of the most, again, like if you're leaning on a certain horse, this is the horse that you need to kind of be wary of, as far as, okay, if that horse draws inside, it might be a little bit of an issue. If you're on the fence between two horses and one draws poorly, maybe that's the angle, that kind of thing. We'll go through it list by list. Funny story I just thought of while I was saying that. My dad was over here yesterday, and we were talking about the Derby and kind of the upcoming craziness that we have. And again, this is a guy, he knows about it from us and stuff, but he doesn't, like, you know, he doesn't know how the point system works and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, so he goes, why would it be so random for 20 horses, like when some horses are like not as good as the others? And I was like, well, it's funny you say that, because a lot of people think the point leaders throughout the year, the top horse should get the first pick, and the second horse should get the second pick, and third, you know, and so on. It's like, because it's kind of rewarding the year that you've had going up into the race. And he's like, That makes a lot of sense. I said, I know, but it's more fun to do it this way, I guess. I don't know. So, anyways, I don't. It's like it's almost one of those things that so logically makes sense for the normal people that, of course, we're not going to do it in horse racing. So,
Yeah, no comment.
all right, let's stick it up. Because no matter what, every year it happens, we have one or two horses that it comes down to that one rail or the one spot, the 20. You know, one of those where like one of the good ones is on the edge. I feel like they do it on purpose. But anyways, Sierra Leone, number one horse on the list. So we're going to go through this way. We'll just start it off by like level 1 through 10. 10 being the most concerned, most dependent on a good post. 1 being the least. You're not concerned really at all. 1 through 10 on Sierra Leone.
0. I don't care. I mean, I really, honestly, and truly don't think it matters with him. I guess you don't want to draw the rail, for any horse, no matter what, because you might kind of get slammed. But look, he doesn't have any early speed. If he draws the 1 hole, he's just going to drop out of it. He draws the 20, he's just going to drop out of it. Anything in between, guess what? He's just going to drop out of it. This horse is really one of the only ones where there's really no difference, no debate. Just get him in the gate. That's all you really need. If you're a fan of Sierra Leone, Saturday night when they draw this, you're not nervous at all.
Mm-mm. I mean, honestly, if you go by any kind of if there's any concern, this is kind of I mentioned in my. By the way, if you guys haven't, go to our go to YouTube or go on our site. You can find literally 5 to 10 minutes of each of us talking about all the horses in the field. So. But one of the things I said about him is like, really, your only concern with Sierra Leone is making sure he gets in the gate, because that was a little bit of a concern, but it was out of nowhere in the bluegrass. But still, like, it's in the back of your head, because I think they had mentioned the concern was the starting gate being so close to the crowd there that day, and he was a little worked up because of it. And well, shit, I mean, that's not going to get any better next week. So I guess that's the only concern. But once he's in the gate, I mean, I'm not concerned at all either. So.
They asked Chad Brown about the gate thing, and he's like, I don't know. Like, he's not that type. Like, he didn't really have an answer. He kind of seemed like, I was just kind of shocked. And he's like, all we can really do because he also said, look, he was the perfect horse all the way through it until they started to load him. So he's like, all I can really do is give him to the gate people at Churchill and just have those gate people at Churchill in the mornings just work with him. He's like, I don't expect him to act up like that again. I don't know what happened there. So he really, other than just, hey, we're going to have to come from dead last to win the Derby, which, I mean, that's a big deal. But other than that, there's just really not any kind of drama when it comes to him. He should be fine.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, and again, it's one of those things too, dude. It's like, it's one of those things you can't worry about that at this point. If he does it, then then he does it. Like, you can't, like, they're all 20 of them have a chance to get worked up in this race before the race. It just happens.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, if he had done it every time, then you're like, well, what are we going to do? But I'm with you. It's just like, you just hope he doesn't, because he really shouldn't, based on what he's done all the way up until that happened.
Right. Yeah. I'm not concerned about it either at all. So I honestly, he's as low as you can be for Sierra Leone. He's quick out of the gate too. I mean, he's quick enough, right? He's not tap it, try slow. So like, once he breaks, like, I have no doubt they'll get, T-Gaff, get him in position, and the rest of it's like, well, he's not going to lose the race the first half of the race anyways, right? That's not where he's going to, his loss is going to be, if it happens, is going to be that second half, the turn into the stretch where he gets stopped. He has to go around horses, all that good stuff. So that's, but he could get the post, you could get post four lengths ahead of everybody else, and he'd still be in that same predicament later in the race, so the post position really means nothing to me. So let's go to the next one, because this one might be a little more dependent. Fierceness, your Derby, I would assume most likely your Kentucky Derby favorite. Thoughts on 1 through 10? How concerned are you for post position for him?
10. I think he's one. It's a major concern. I think if you're going into that draw and you want to pick fierceness, your heart's in your throat a little bit, because it, it's weird, because usually a horse like him, you kind of want him not 1, 2, 3, but you kind of want him towards the inside. But him specifically, I think you kind of want him more in like the 12 hole. I think that'd be a good spot for him. I think I'm working on hoping for 8 through 12 for him. Right. I think that would be a good spot. I don't really want him in the 20, anything like that. I think he can overcome that a little bit easier than he could. I mean, if he gets 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to have a really hard time picking that horse to do anything, because it just with his track record, that's just a brutal post, I think, for him. But that 8 through 12, that's what he really needs. Anything more inside, with each one that would go inside, you get a little more worried, and then outside wouldn't be quite as worried, but I still don't think it's ideal. So 8 through 12.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I think that's perfect. If he becomes a little bit more pace dependent, if he draws inside, that's the concern, right? And obviously, I think a lot more things have to go right for him if he draws inside than the other way. His biggest thing is not, in my opinion, is not necessarily the gate or the post position in the gate. It's the first 200 yards of the race.
Yeah.
That's the most important aspect of his race, is basically from the time they break to the time they reach the starting or the finish line, right? The first time.
Yeah.
That's most important for him, because if he gets in that position, it's just like with last year, we picked Tapit Trice and they hit the first finish line. You're like, oh no, like this guy just kept getting swallowed up and just kept getting further. And you're like, no. Same thing with him. Like he needs to be right in the front, or like right there, right there with not any, had no traffic trouble, had no issue, got in a good position. And from there, it's like, listen, he either has it or he doesn't,
Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's absolutely it. I think that it becomes easier the further outside you get, but at the same time, you can get sandwiched from any position in the Kentucky Derby. There's just that many horses. So, gosh, it's just praying, break clean, and then you're kind of there's no excuses. There you go. Right. It's right there all in front of you. So that's the big thing. It's just getting out of that gate. And like I said, there's no post that's going to be safe from if you don't get out of the gate. But at the same time, the further outside you get, the better that would be, the more chance he's going to have to recover.
Yeah. I mean, listen, like there's not been a horse that I can remember in recent years that there's just more I didn't know question marks is the right answer or the right way to describe it. It's not like we know what he is. It's not like we don't know, but at the same time, it's like you just don't know. I have no idea which horse we're going to get. There's really no rhyme or reason behind it. I mean, at this point, I guess if you want to play that card, there's excuses to be made. I'm not a big excuses fan, but the first one you can say, well, Champagne, the track was a mess. He didn't like it, blah, blah, blah. Second one could be, well, he was off the layoff. He wasn't ready. Those are your two excuses. I don't necessarily buy it, especially the latter, but those are the possibilities. If you believe those were just flukes, there's no that you shouldn't have to think for a second who your pick is.
Yep. 100%. I'm with you. I think that's just it. If you sit here and you after this draw, again, I wouldn't make any assumptions till you see the draw. But after this draw, if you go, well, he drew well, and I think he will show up with his best race, your handicapping for first is done.
That's a good point, Dynam. Like you got to know that like at least a few guys are thinking, especially any with. I'm trying to think if multiple horses. I mean, Chad's got multiple. I think Chad has multiple, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's anyone that's like, hey, you know what? Like, just put a little bit of something to him to make this a little bit easier. And do you think if Fierceness gets a bad enough post, say draws the 1 or draws the 20 or something, just make it easy. With Sierra Leone go off the favorite?
Let me comment on the first one first. Bob Baffert is really the only one that actually does what that theory was. If people are going to target
and
fierceness,
can do it.
when you think about it, Baffert has done that. These other trainers, you think they're going to do it and they don't. So I don't know, but absolutely, like a Chad Brown who's got multiple horses, yeah, he could do it. So I agree with the theory, but you just don't see it that often. Now, the fierceness thing, if he gets a bad post, yes, I think Sierra Leone goes off favorite. I really do. And we're talking bad like the 1 hole or the 2 hole. I think then Sierra Leone will be the favorite because he's got so much going for him anyway with how he's looked and his connections and all that stuff. He won the local, quote unquote local Derek Keeneland down the road. So I think Sierra Leone's price gets hurt if fierceness draws a really bad post. And, and that's probably logical, right? I mean, look, for as many issues, problems, worries that you have about fierceness, if you couple that with he just drew the rail, people are going to gravitate away from him, and I don't blame them.
All right, let's go to another one that's. I think he's like Sierra Leone a little bit in terms of low, like as far as need to get a good post. Catching Freedom for Brad Cox. Do you think? I mean, to me, he's like a 2 or maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah, just to be different, I'll put it at like a 4, but I think we're at the same kind of thing. It doesn't really matter, but when you think about it, some of his races, he's been able to sit a little bit closer. Not on the lead, absolutely not, or close, but middle of the pack. And honestly, in a race like this, I really don't think they want Catching Freedom to be near Sierra Leone back there. I think they want to get early position with this horse. In the Louisiana Derby, the quote from Brad Cox was he was super upset up the backside because he thought the horse would definitely not be in last. He thought he could be in the middle of the pack. So with that being said, I do think, look, if he can get a good draw and break well, that's going to make a huge difference for him specifically. Because I don't think he has to be an absolute dead closer. I think he can be at least a bit more tactical. So again, I think you do want one of those prime posts for him, 6 through 14. I think that'd be perfect for Catching Freedom. And look, I do think he is one. If he draws the rail, if he draws the 20, it does, tend to kind of change what they're going to have to do with him.
Yeah, and to me, he's just a little bit slower out of the gate than Sierra Leone. He's not been at least in my opinion, as quick out of the gate. He's just a little bit more of a I don't know, pain in the ass, I guess, really, as far as like he's a little bit poor man's version of Sierra Leone. So with that said, like I do think that's why I am putting his a little bit higher, because I do think Sierra Leone like kind of can get his position where he needs to be out of the gate, whereas Catching Freedom, he might be a little more dependent on good post, or at least a decent post, and getting out of the gate. So I just feel like there's a little bit more pressure, kind of like you said, because it might kind of make things a little bit more difficult for him if this horse all of a sudden is in, like you said, back there with another one, right?
Yep.
Because honestly, like if you said who's better, who's like as far as dead closer, who's better, Catching Freedom or Sierra Leone?
Sierra Leone.
I mean, so if you're Flavian Pratt, you're like, I need to get every advantage as I can with him, right?
Flavian Pratt kind of needs to mimic the country house ride, honestly.
Yeah. Because remember that day? I mean, I know you do, but like everyone's like, we're like, wow, can you believe how he's like riding the race?
Yeah. Yep.
You're like, oh wow, he's making he made the same move and run as he always does. He just was way closer this time.
Yep.
And look what it did. So yeah, that's a good point. So
yep.
All right, let's go to Stronghold. Stronghold, a horse for Diamato, just continues to kind of impress here. The lone California horse, pretty much. What do you think of Stronghold, and how important is the post position for him?
I think it's pretty important for him. I think he needs this. He needs to get that middle of the pack trip. I think if he's one that gets shuffled back, he's in big trouble. And that's just kind of more of my opinion of him and what has to happen for him to win it. I do think he can come from out of it, but I think he really, really needs to be at the front of that kind of second flight of horses if he wants to really be dangerous. So I think it's very important. And, it's a broken record on where they need to draw when we think that post position is important. They need to get into that middle pack there, that 6 through 14. And I think if he gets one of those posts, he could sit that trip that could make him dangerous. To me, he's very trip dependent, though, because not because he can't do one thing or another, just because I think he needs an optimal trip to get the job done or even hit the board, to be honest. So you need that 6 through 14 post for him. I think it's important.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I think he needs to be in that, like, any poor, like, I'm not a huge Stronghold fan, so I just think that he's going to need all the advantage he can in this race, and having kind of like to overcome a poor position on top of, what I necessarily don't think he's, as good as some of these other ones. It's like, well, that becomes a little bit of an issue. So
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one. I think he's, that's pretty much where I would be with him. Resilience, kind of I don't know if you want to call him the new shooter. It kind of feels like a new shooter a little, because after that kind of emergence in the wood. Resilience, what do you think of this one as far as
I
how
think
important it is?
this is one where if he draws a bad post, you can kind of just say, well, he's done. Like, I don't have to worry about him. But if he draws that perfect post, you go, well, maybe I can play him. So yeah, again, I think he's really important. He's a horse that, to me, his easiest path or best path, or maybe only path, if you want to put it that way, get a good post, get out of that gate, and get ahead of 17 of them, and then hope that I get the absolute dream trip. There's trouble behind me. A couple of the horses I'm kind of stalking come back a bit, and then here I am with a big shot. So, but to do that, you need that great 8 through 12, 7 through 12 type of post to get it done.
Yeah, and you're right. You made a good point. I want to make mention of this because I think there's going to be several in here that we'll talk about they're like this. He's one of those horses that, like you said it perfectly, that like you might be inclined to play, but if you get any doubt about the post, you're just like, no, I can't. It's like, and maybe you're wrong, right? But at least it's that confirmation in your mind of, okay, I can't play that horse, right? So I think there's several in the race where it's like the perfect position, the perfect odds, the perfect whatever, then you're like, okay, I can take a shot with that one. But if there's any doubt in your mind, he's a perfect example. You're like, well, no, that's all I needed to say, no, I'm not going to play him here. So I think he's the perfect horse for that. All right, let's get to a big one here, because this is like, this horse feels like you know somebody that absolutely loves him, like might win the Triple Crown, loves him, or thinks he might not run in the top 10. Like, it's that wide of a spectrum. Forever Young, the number 6 horse on the list, the Japanese horse, looks to become the first UAE horse to come over and win, the first Japanese horse to come over and win. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the most polarizing horse this year. And I think a lot of people go, no, hold on, wait a second. What about Fierceness? I don't think Fierceness is all that polarizing. I think most people agree Fierceness is an all or nothing. If he shows up, he's going to win. And if he doesn't, he's going to lose and probably run like 17th, 18th. And I think you never can say everybody, but I think 85, 90% of the people go, yeah, this horse, you're right. I've heard intelligent, highly intelligent, I will even say, people saying, oh, Forever Young is just a beast, and this is going to be amazing. And then you get the people that are like, what? Why? Right? So it is such a polarizing horse. Look, I mean, the trainer has said the kickback is a problem for him. I don't know. Some people are saying that's kind of overhyped as well. I just kind of think, based on his races we've seen, I think he needs an outside draw. I think he is very dependent on the post. I think the thing they're going to have to do, if he's going to win this thing, get an outside position, break cleanly, and just kind of keep him away from everybody, and hopefully kind of get him, in that top of that second flight there, or the back of the first flight. Keep him on the outside, and then hope that he's just faster than everybody else down the lane by a little bit, because I think he's going to have to lose a little bit of ground when you think about describing his best path to victory. And I definitely think he's one, if he gets an inside draw at all, I don't know how he's going to do it. I really feel like his best path to victory here is to get that outside draw, stay away from a lot of the horses, hopefully break well enough. And he's got enough tactical speed to kind of get it to where, hey, there's only 5 or 6 ahead of me, and I'm just going to track him to the outside and then go get him. If everything goes perfect like that, I do think he has a chance. My biggest thing with him is I just haven't, I know the hype is there. I know what his trainer says about him. I know what people individually say about him.
Yeah.
You just kind of watch him and it's like, I don't think he's a bad horse. I think he's a good horse, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
I don't see him being spectacular though.
It just feels like, and I saw some comments about the kickback, and it just kind of feels like a horse that is, unless they keep him way, and again, like even drawing inside would be terrible, I would think, because then what do? Because if he's not quick enough to get right there in the early part of the race, then that your two choices are to try to push him early and get it, just that way you simply don't have horses in front of you, or sit him wide the whole way, like you said, and just limit the amount of kickback, limit the amount of trouble, the amount of just all the things that come with, because the reality is like he might be like, I don't hate him. I think he's a solid horse. I just think we do kind of have a blueprint now, and until proven otherwise, I don't see how we're going to kind of turn the tables on that. It just kind of feels like, well, we know that my opinion is, and it's pretty simple, there's been better horses to come over here from overseas and have done far worse because of the Derby issues.
Yeah, I agree. I will put it like this, and I'll say it for a week. I really like him, to be quite honest, but I really hate how much a lot of people love him, and I don't hate them or that he's getting love, but I hate what that price is going to be on him because of all that love. I think he's good. I think he could win, and if he wins next Saturday, I'm not gonna be shocked at all. I'll probably, I can't say that actually, because I have no idea if he'll be on a ticket or not, to be honest. But he's probably one I'm going to think about. But I hate that this horse is being blown up for something that I don't really care what people are saying. I'm sorry. On the track, this is not a horse that should come over here and be one of the heavily bet horses ever from the UAE Derby. It just shouldn't be.
Yeah. And
more. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say I think the best case scenario here is if you have because I know like our good friend Paul, I know John White, like guys that have future wagers on him. That is fantastic. Like like, because now you're like, maybe whatever you got him at 20-1, 30-1, whatever you got him at, fantastic, right? Because now you can just sit back, and if he wins and if he's good enough, then guess what? Bam, you got it. Yep. But if you but playing him at again, and I have no issues with that. If he's 5-1, I just have a hard I guess it's all in the eye of the beholder. If you think 5-1 is a good price on him,
yeah,
for me it's too low. So
I'm with you. If you have that future wager, I know there's some big numbers out there, then you really don't have anything to worry about, because then, look, I think John said there was a future like 24-1 or something. It was like, hey, if he was 24-1 coming into this Kentucky Derby on the day of the race, you change your tune quite a bit, right? But he's might be 4-1, which is 20 points lower. And that's when you just go, yeah, I'm not sure I want to do that. And again, I just wish I was signed on UAE Derby. Here we go. We're going to see it. Let's see what happens here. Yeah. And he was good again, but he has not been as good as advertised. And that's not really his fault, because he's been advertised as American Pharaoh. He really has. And I'm sorry, American Pharaoh has showed himself multiple times as being that type of horse coming into this race. Forever Young has not. And that's not even really an opinion. That's a fact. So if he's going to show up and run the best race of his life on this day, he's got a shot. There's no doubt. If he shows up and runs that UAE Derby type race, it's up in the air. It's not, he still could, he has a chance, but it's up in the air. But then you have to just look at it and go, well, how many times has the UAE Derby winner showed up and ran that UAE Derby race? They never do. So when you add that factor in, that's where I'm just like, I can't buy it at 4-1. I can't do it. Now, could I use him in exactas and tries and get a juicier price on if he does something? Yes. And I think that's kind of pre-draw, at least. That's where my mind is at with this.
Curtis says, oh, running down an Autobahn doesn't impress you? I mean, and Halterman's been very clear about that from day one, as far as like, and I'm with you. Like, I think we were like, okay, this is the race to see what he is. And like, he wins and he's like a horse. Like, it's hard to shit on him. He's never lost, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what more do you want the guy to do? Right. He's
100%.
He's gone in every race and won every one of them. So I get it. And I'm with you. I'm against him at that price, but part of me wants to, like, when you really run down the field, you're like, well, he's probably like fourth or fifth best horse, right? And so if you're playing 4 deep or however you're doing, it's like, yeah, I mean, there's a conversation, right? I'm not going to just so. All right, let's go through a couple here at a time. Endlessly and Dornoch. It's 2 interesting horses here. Both have kind of different routes to get here, but thoughts on each one of them as it gets pertains to the post positions.
I'm just going to jump in and say something because I just hit the late pick 5 at Keeneland. Okay, so early pick 5 and late pick 5 swept the card. I'm only bringing it up for one reason. I remember sitting there the last Thursday of Keeneland before the Friday, and it started a slump where I was like, man, I'm starting to get off. And it never stopped until until Belmont Day, really. So to be hot right now feels good. That's the only reason I'm saying that, because I really don't want a repeat of last year. All right, to this, I don't think Endlessly is going to be in the race. If he is, I don't think it matters a whole lot.
Hopefully they make the right call here.
Right. I don't think it matters on him. Dornoch, I think it makes a huge difference. I don't know. To me, like, his only chance is gate to wire. So to me, get inside as far as you can without getting, the quote unquote terrible 1 or 2, and just hopefully he breaks really well and gets right to the front. And if that's the goal, you don't want to be on the 20. You want to be 3, 4, 5, 6, break fast, get to the lead. Here we go. That's it. That's all they can really try to do with him at this point. And honestly, if he gets out there and that pace gets slow, then he all of a sudden has a shot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have. Yeah, I mean, let me put it pretty bluntly for you. Like, he's not one that if they put the post positions out and he's like I said earlier, like, he's post 5 and he's like, they give him 3 length advantage for the starting the gate. I just don't have a lot of interest in Dornoch. I just don't and that's just my opinion going into the race. We'll see how, if I'm wrong or right, but I'm with you. I just think there's way better horses than him in the race in every aspect. If he tries to go gate to wire, I think there's horses that can put a lot of pressure on him. If he tries to sit off, I think there's better horses that can close up the ground. Right. So I just don't think he's as good as I think he was pretty good 2-year-old. And I don't really think he's evolved too much as a 3-year-old. And a lot of these horses have caught up. So that's kind of where I'm at with Dornoch. All right. This is let's go to 2 horses here. Go 2 at a time. Because I think this one, and I'm hearing a lot, like, if there's a wise guy horse in the race, it's Just a Touch. Mm-hmm. Just a Touch, I think, is the wise guy horse this year. So I think we need to keep that in mind when we talk about the odds. And then Track Phantom, a horse that was kind of hot early in the year, maybe another one of those that hasn't really progressed too much, but could be a pace presence at the very least. Thoughts on those 2 and their post positions?
Yeah, I'll tackle Track Phantom first because I think it's the easiest one.
Yeah.
He's a pace presence. There's no doubt. So if he draws well, gets out to the front, I think he can speed things up, make things interesting. If he doesn't draw well, you kind of almost are just tossing him at this point, and he may not even play much of a factor in the race. Just a Touch is very interesting because there's a lot of people that love this horse, and I'm not really one of them. I don't hate him, but I'm not all about him. But I think if you do like him, or even in my case, I don't love him, but where can I see him, making the biggest impact? He does have that ability to sit his ass right behind those horses that might be going a little bit too fast up front. And he's kind of setting that pace where it's, hey, forget about these idiots that are going, 45, 46 up front. I just ran 48 and I'm sitting right there in the catbird seat when those horses come back. So I think just a touch, it's a really, really important post draw for him, because I think the key for him is if he can get that positioning, they come back to him a little bit, the horses that are in front of him, he might be able to take the lead top of the stretch. The problem with him, he just is not a very fast finisher. He has not been able. To me, the Bluegrass was his race. He had a great shot. He had the jump. Everything went well. He kind of did exactly what I'm talking about, the trip he could get in the Derby. He kind of got that in the Bluegrass. He still didn't win. And I don't know. I just feel like Brad Cox, great trip. If the horse was a good Brad Cox horse, he probably would have won or at least made it close. And that's why we're in the Derby. I think he can get the trip if he gets the post. It's just going to be, is he good enough? Will he finish the race?
Yeah, I don't know. If I'm just going to relay what now this was again, you're going to laugh or whatever, but this is unprovoked information that was given to me. I didn't ask for it. He loves him just a touch. Brad Cox loves just a touch. Okay. He is so excited for him in this race.
Oh, sure.
That's what I was told. Again, I'm just the source. I'm just pushing it out there. I don't care either. Yeah. But again, I had it. I have to say it. But so I do think that horse is going to be bet pretty hard.
I think you're right. And I also agree with Curtis. I've listened to enough Brad Cox quotes to wonder if he knows his own horses.
Right.
He has become one of those guys you can't really listen to. And it's shocking.
Talk about PTSD, dude. Because you think about a horse, I think it's when we both really kind of had that, no, not again. When we had a massive bet, I think it was Oaks Day.
Mm-hmm.
And on a Brad Cox horse that literally couldn't lose.
When you think of the things he's said to the public, even just take the last year, from this year in April versus last year in April, that 12-month span. When has he really said something that has happened? Now we could be talking just a touch right into the winner's circle. And listen, I'm sitting here saying he's not the worst pick, I don't think. But and Curtis brings up one of 12, first mission, going to run huge in the Pegasus. He did nothing. Guys, go back to November. He was calling Nash his only horse this year that can win the Derby. Yeah. He's awful. And not only that, he has other horses that within a month were much better than Nash already. It wasn't one of those things where, oh, wow, he had horses develop and Nash just fell off. No, you knew within about a 3-week period after he said that, Nash wasn't even close. So if you just want recency right there, it's so weird. It's so weird that this is what Brad Cox has become. And I don't know if it's because he's misreading horses. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's telling people to bet horses so he can bet other ones. I don't know, but it's really crazy how off he's been on some of his comments.
It's almost like he's and he's gotten too far, almost too invested in it, where it's he wants to make sure all his owners, they are all his horses are good, right? I love him in this race. I think he's gonna run so well. And he's I don't know, man. I don't know. So it's almost like he's a little bit too PR-y, he's good.
It could be a D. Wayne Lucas type of thing. And I remember talking to Kelly about D. Wayne. And I said, God, he just says the craziest things. He goes, I'm going to stop you because here's the deal. He believes it.
Yeah.
He said he's the most optimistic man I've ever met. And he's not bullshitting you in his mind. He really truly believes it. When he's got that maiden that's 50-1, he thinks he's winning. And it could be Cox has had so much success on every level. He's been incredible. he just believes it. He believes when anything he's going to lead over there can win. And that could be it as well.
All right, let's go to two more. We'll talk about Brad Cox some more here in a second. So don't you guys worry. West Saratoga and Just Steel. Let's go 3. Honor Marie. West Saratoga, Just Steel, Honor Marie all kind of feel like similar horses in their own regard. West Saratoga is one of those that just kind of, well, you know what? Honestly, all three of them, let's just put it that way. All three of them are horses that have been just kind of enough, right? They've got that 60-point range there where they've never really been close to winning as far as these main preps. But they've also not ran poor, and they've got enough points built up to go. Can any of the, well, one, how important are the post positions? And two, can any of these horses, or do you believe any of these horses will make another step forward or can make another step forward here?
Yeah, I think Honor Marie is definitely one that can. I think West Saratoga and Just Steel are they are who they are types. And they're probably going to need a little bit of luck. Let's be honest. Great trips, and some horses don't get great trips. So the pace comes back to them a little bit. All those things you talk about where, hey, a 30-1 hit the board and here's how it happened in the Derby. It probably won't happen again type of stuff down the road. So I think for West Saratoga and Just Steel, that they are who they are. Honor Marie does feel like there's another move forward that's possible for this horse. And I think that's why you're getting the buzz.
Yeah.
And you saw kind of the progression race 1 to race 2. And I think people in their minds are saying, hey, another little bit of progression. He's right there and he's going to be 15-20-1. So there you go. But I think all three of them, the posts aren't really a big deal minus the death posts of the inside there.
I'm so bummed by this because I just thought, I don't know. I hoped, I guess, that I was like 3 horses I really like in this race, and like that was Sierra Leone, Fierceness, and Honor Marie. Like those are the 3 that I was leaning towards as far as a win bet, and it just feels like the hype's out. So it's like you're not. I mean, I still think he's gonna be a good price, but maybe he's like 12 to 15-1 versus 20-1, but. Yeah. He feels like a horse he's getting better. He likes Churchill. You could see his kind of progression as the way he's like 3rd off. Like this should be his best race. So I think there's a lot to like. And to me, it's like, well, if you like Catching Freedom, I mean, he's not really that different than that one, and you're getting like double or not triple the price. So that to me, I would rather play him in that case than Catching Freedom. But like again, I see it 2 or 3 different ways with those 3. I see it Sierra Leone is like your most logical, consistent, not going to make you look stupid kind of horse to pick. Fierceness is he could either run off the screen and win by 5, or he could run 18th. And then Honor Marie is like kind of the long shot, kind of crazy play that could be trending in the right direction. So, domestic product, Chad Brown, Cadillac, and Society Man. How do you feel about those?
I just think you're getting, other than maybe one that we'll talk about in a second. Yeah, you're just getting to the point where it's like, hey, they're in the gate. They need a lot of help type of stuff.
I guess the best question as we get to these groups is there anything that a post position can do to make you like them more?
No, not really. Not really.
I agree.
Yeah.
Looks like most people are believing you're going to get 14 or 15-1 on Honor Marie. Obviously, it's impossible to know, but I think that seems to be fair. Wasn't Mage like around those lines?
I think so.
12-1, maybe 10 to 12-1, somewhere in there. So I think he could be a lot like that kind of horse.
Yeah.
Because I think once you get past those first 4 or 5 horses, the prices are going to be get pretty far north.
One thing to remember, since that Rich Strike incident, the odds for the Triple Crown races have been funky. So horses that are like 30, 50-1, whatever, 20-1, people just gravitate to them and bet them, and that's making everything a little bit funky. So I don't know if that's a trend that'll continue this year. It's been it's been a while now since Rich Strike, so we'll see if that continues or not. But the odds have been weird for these Triple Crown races. So.
All right, let's see. What did we leave off there? So Mystic Dan, Encino, and Grand Mo the first. We'll just go throw in TO password as well into that to round out the 20. I do think you're going to start to see some of these. I do know another from another like same source, but same barn, right? That they're leaning towards the first mission route for Encino, but that ultimately it will be up to the Sheik, right? As far as what they're going to do, and he wants the Derby. So they think it's going to be Preakness for Encino, but ultimately it's going to be his call. That's what I know about him.
Yeah, there's people, in the Discord that love Encino, have futures on Encino, and kind of the best thing. And I don't have any information, but I you can kind of read between the lines in these situations where they wait and they wait and they wait. It's usually one party wants to run and one party doesn't. And I think it's pretty clear if you follow Brad Cox's career, and look, I don't want to put words into his mouth because he hasn't said anything to me about this, obviously, but you just look at how he likes to space out his races. This is not where he wants to run Encino. It's clear.
Yeah.
Just based on the history of what he does. So I would think he might be getting pressure from the owners, and the owners do usually win out, but the trainers are doing some hard convincing, I'm sure. So I think ultimately he will be in the Preakness. I do think if he's in the Derby, he will have a bit of a chance. I really like this horse, improving nicely. I just don't think he's going to be there.
It's kind of funny that it's like we're talking about with Brad and how he talks. It's like in this case, it's like he's gonna play it the other way, right? I think he might be better in the Preakness. Like I just think he's not a little too soon yet or whatever. But if you're just a touch, it's a no. We think he's working so good, like we need to run him. So it's like it just seems like how do you really trust one thing over another?
It's this Encino situation has been an odd one. I'm kind of with Silver Charm there. I kind of like Encino better than the other two.
I know, right?
And I kind of have for a while. And it's just like every step that's been taken is telling you that they don't like Encino as well as the other two. Starting him off at Turfway, that's not usually where he sends his best ones, right? And we got him right there in that position in the Bluegrass. He's set up for a big race. I thought he'd run second that day. They scratch him in favor of Just the Touch, who got second. But then they run Encino in the Lexington, and I'm sitting there going, I'm not sure if that wasn't better than anything I've seen from Just the Touch. So it's a weird thing. I still don't think they love this horse, and that it's just weird to me. But
it could also be, and again, I have no idea. Like I know the barn, but I don't really get too much into it. But it's like it kind of makes with First Mission, it was, and obviously he didn't pan out. I mean, he was a good horse, but it didn't maybe pan out long term. But like they thought he was like elite, right? And so they didn't push him, and they got him. They kind of waited until the timing was right. And so maybe I'm just playing the devil's advocate a little bit. Like maybe they think Encino is really good, but they're just working their way to having him the latter half of the year. I don't know. Because I don't think, I'm with you. I don't, maybe just a touch because he seems like he might be okay, but I don't know. I think I like Encino more than those two.
Yeah, I know, and I agree. It's weird, and I think at the end of the day, I'm not sitting here going, man, I'm convinced Encino's going to win if they enter him. I'm not there, but I also sit there and go, okay, he's got a great pedigree for this distance, fantastic. Every race is better than the next. And look, he has shown versatility. He can come from out of it. He can be in the middle of the pack. He can go gate to wire. He's got he checks a lot of those boxes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree. All right. Any of these horses, 21 through, let's just do 24 there. Epic Ride, Uncle Heavy, Seize the Gray, El Dumbro. That really mean anything to you? They get in like, oh, wow. Like they got in like I have to ask, is there really anyone?
I want Epic Ride to get in because I think he's decent, and I think he's usable depending on a number of factors, obviously. But I like him. The rest of them, And look, I know people, well, Rich Strike. Well, you know what? I would have sat here that day if you asked me and said, I don't think Rich Strike has a chance. I'm not going to be embarrassed to ever say that. Right.
Mhm.
So the other ones, I don't really care if they get in or not as far as betting wise. But if Epic Ride was to draw in, I do think you kind of think about it. If he draws really well, maybe some of the contenders don't, and you can kind of work out a trip.
Yeah, there's not. If Epic, or I mean, if Rich Strike would have been in, like in the gate, like now, basically that year, we still would have been like, well, no. I mean, there's no. I can say that confidently that there's zero chance I would have been interested in him in that race. So, all right, let's put a cap on this by asking you a very simple question: who is out of all of them? Who's the horse that's you're least concerned about? Wherever whenever we're watching it, doing the live reaction on Saturday, you're just like, whatever, like just write it down. I don't care where he goes. And the one that you're like on the edge of your seat, it's kind of make or break on the post.
I think it's clears. I think it's very clear. Sierra Leone is the one I don't care about. From a post position draw, I'm not really worried about him. And then Fierceness and Forever Young are the two horses that I think everybody, whether you love them or hate them, going to be on the edge of your seat with.
Yep. I think part of me is hoping is like that at least one of those three, or at least definitely one of Fierceness or Forever Young, do get like a terrible spot. That way I can just be like, okay, I don't even have to like, there's my boom, write that one off, because you do look a little bit for that excuse. I do think it would be amazing for racing to have no issues, no bad posts, as best as we can, and have Fierceness do his thing and have him roll into the Preakness against Muth and some of the Encino and some of these horses that are going to likely be in that race. And so that would be amazing. Sierra Leone, I mean, any of these top horses, Forever Young, even frankly, would be one of those as well. I would just love to see, I kind of want to make sure I say this on this show. I'd love to see one of these quote unquote good horses. Like, I feel like we need to it'd be good for racing to get that back on track.
If Forever Young wins,
oh my gosh,
they're gonna already give him the Triple Crown. I mean, that's how much people love him. That the people that like that sort of thing like that sort of thing, so to speak. So they're gonna be, the hype is gonna be insane. And then if Fierceness just blows them away, the people that don't know Fierceness, like kind of the people who come in just for the Triple Crown, are going to go insane. Because if he shows up and run a Florida Derby type of race and he wins the Kentucky Derby by like 6 lengths, you and I are going to sit there and go, yep, that was amazing, but we know what he can do. But the people that really haven't been following are going to go, he might be the greatest horse who ever lived, right? So So it's those two horses are ones that are just people are gonna go ape shit over if they do, win that race. And then I think you're right. Sierra Leone would definitely be the other one that people are going to be very excited about. So, one of those three wins, it'd be great. Catching Freedom would be fine. I mean, that's a horse that'll get a ton of hype if he wins too. So I'm with you on that. That would be nice. And not having Baffert in the Derby is not ideal, but boy, having him in waiting for whoever wins in the Preakness is pretty cool at the same time.
Yeah, especially if you were to get a Fierceness win, because obviously you guys may forget, because he beat the shit out of him so badly, that Fierceness was in that race with Muth in the juvenile, and Muth ran a great race, and you just got smoked. And so it'd be kind of fun to see that, not only have him sitting in the wings waiting. And by the way, Arkansas Derby winner, I mean, it's a really good horse. Having him waiting for the horse that he last time he saw, all he saw was a little blip of him, in front of him. Yeah. So that would be a fun storyline as well. So, Saturday, guys, look out for the post position draw. We will probably be going live, I think. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
1,000%.
We'll be live on Saturday talking about the Derby as the Derby draw unfolds. And so make sure you stay tuned for that. And then, guys, we're in. That's it, man. We're handicapping. We'll get the picks out, and you guys will. Hopefully, we have a good Kentucky Derby. All right, next week, get ready. I was thinking, dude. I just don't know. Like with fierceness, I don't know. I think that if he were to win, he is going to take like the hype on him is going to be unreal.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I know that it is, but like if he were to have a win, like frankly, all his wins, right? Yeah, I mean, they'll be crowning him already,
Yeah.
or at least trying to.
Yep.
I would be okay with not playing him. I don't think he could do it, but I do because I just don't trust him to do it 3 times in a row at this
Yeah.
point. But if he were to have and he's really the only horse in the race, in my opinion, that's capable of doing that in this race.
Yep. 100%. And I think it if he does win the Derby and he does it in stylish fashion, it creates an incredible amount of value on the Preakness because, again, those of us that follow him, we kind of know who he is, right? And and at Preakness, you're sitting there, you got a good horse, a really good horse like Muth, and you sit here and go, well, I'm not sure about fierceness if he can do it in 2 weeks' time. And you got Muth that's sitting there and he's rested and he's waiting. That will be very interesting.
All right, guys, that is all the time we have. Make sure you check us out at racedudes.com for all our free picks and premium selections over on the handicap products page. Click the Get Race to Dudes premium button at the menu at racedudes.com to learn more. Go get the Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Oaks betting Bible. It is available for sale right now. You'll be the first to get it as soon as it goes out early next week. Again, once that the post positions go out and the cards come out for Friday and Saturday, that's all we'll be doing until you see that first version. So if you go ahead and pre-purchase it, you will be the first to get it when it comes available. We're on Twitter at Racing_Dudes, Instagram and Facebook, and TikTok. You can find all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting our podcast page. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, all the places you listen to podcasts. We are there. Make sure you check out all the content we have on our YouTube, on our website at racingdudes.com. We have so much content for the Kentucky Derby. I mean, really everything you need as far as every single horse detailed. Again, more and more content will be headed out as we get closer to Saturday. Halterman, what did you and your dad talk about yesterday?
We talked about the Kentucky Derby yesterday, and then we also talked about the NHL and NBA playoffs. You can check that out right now.
Yes, and the Magic Mike show was live earlier. Keeneland pick 5. If you guys wanted to get your little handicapping fix for this week, the Magic Mike show did the Keeneland pick 5, and congratulations to Magic, who killed it on his debut last night. Our little boy has grown up, Halterman, on FanDuel.
Yeah, it was awesome. A proud moment. He went on last night. He had to do harness racing, and it looked like he had done harness racing forever. He did an incredible job, and Heather and I are just sitting there listening. It's like, wow, he's better than anything they have already. So it was great. I meant to watch for 5 minutes, and we watched for 20. And we kept watching because he was saying funny things. So it was like, this is great. I mean, he played it close to the vest for about 3 minutes, where he was pretty standard. And then all of a sudden, here came that magic that everybody knows. Here came that personality. And I think his co-host at first was like, well, this is weird.
Yeah, this guy's
not just sitting here like a robot.
Yeah.
Like, and the funniest thing happened. So he was doing harness racing, and there was a horse named Ways and Means. And Magic goes, and here's Ways and Means, Kentucky Oaks horse, and we get to see her in the harnesses tonight. And for a half second, his co-host thought he was serious. I could totally tell. And then finally, you could tell his co-host was like, oh, he's kidding around. We're making jokes tonight. That's weird. We've never done that on this network. So
yeah, like we're having fun. I didn't know that was allowed.
I got to be quite honest with you. It was fun. It was how this game should be presented. They were having fun. And I just kind of felt like, wow, they're making this fun. He was very good about here's why I'm betting and who I'm betting. And the odds have affected me here. He pivoted when he needed to pivot. but it was a real lighthearted thing. And it's just like, this is worth watching. This is very good. So extremely proud of him. Not at all surprised. I think Magic is maybe the only one that didn't think Magic was as good as Magic is. And I think, it just took years to kind of convince him, yeah, you've worked really hard at this and you're really good. And you had a lot of natural ability when you came to us. And then you worked on your craft and now you're here and it's not a shock to anybody. So he did fantastic. It was a great job.
It's like when you told me when we had we had a call about it, you and I was like, yeah, I mean, not surprised because he's really good. And like, that's what we've told him for years. Like, not only are you good on air, but like, you're a good handicapper. Like, you know what you're talking about. Like, I actually listen to you even whenever you like, if I know you have a pick, like, or whatever, I'm like, yeah, like, I'm glad that we agree or whatever, and so like, he just has, he hasn't trusted himself, I guess, but it's hopefully, you're on air of the biggest network we have for horse racing. Hopefully he's starting to see it now because it's well deserved. So I'm happy for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's not leaving, so I'm even more happy. Like,
right? Yes,
I can still bother him to get all my stuff done that I need to get posted or videos edited, and I get to see him on air and actually watch a network that I haven't.
So yeah, and I think he finally started to believe when John White said, "Hey, your coverage of the roof really helped me on the roof at the Breeders' Cup. Really helped me make the morning line." And I think he finally realized, "Oh, okay, like maybe I am okay
the
at
morning
this.
line for the Breeders' Cup. Like that's all right,
Yeah, So
hey, listen, Kevin, I got an announcement, man.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm off the market, son.
Yep, I know.
I knew that. The dating advice is we're gonna have to get rid of that. We have to kill that bit.
Well,
it's gone.
You're not engaged yet, though, right?
No.
Well, then you're not off the market.
Okay. Well. Okay. Is your wife sitting right next to you?
Yeah. She went.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what they say. Until you're married, it's like
it's a technicality.
It's really not a thing, right? Yeah. So I mean,
but now, you are off the market. So
yeah. All right. I mean, Kevin, I know as my future teammate, you should have been first to hear about this. Yeah. I do apologize about that, but yeah, I figured go ahead and announce it here. So yeah. But Trubadoo is trying to get me single for mine.
you could join him.
Hey, there you go. That's no more. Yeah, no shit, Shotty. I agree.
Have you now? Let me ask you this. Well, this may not be appropriate to ask now. Actually,
what is it?
I was just gonna ask. Like, have you deleted the apps now?
Yep.
Then you're off the market. You're off. Okay.
Not only did I delete, because there's two things you can do. You can delete the apps, and then it's just like any app where it's like you log. If you deleted Twitter off, or you did, but if you put it back on, you could just get back on it.
Right.
But like, I deleted my accounts and the apps. So I mean, I'm all in.
He's off. Yeah, he's off. He's totally off the market.
I know.
Yep. There's no doubt that you don't have to get engaged. Yep.
It's basically the same thing. So
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for the Curtis until you sign over half of your thing. That's nice. Well, that's the spirit. All right, guys. That's gonna be a wrap. Again, you'll see us this weekend. You'll see us a lot over the coming week. So guys, stay tuned. And again, one quick thing. We're gonna go because I gotta go. But give people like one bit of advice as they start their handicapping, watching the draw, just that, what's something that you're kind of leaning on this year that as far as like, don't get over invested, don't until you see this or that, like what's something that you could help people as they get ready for the draw?
Good question. As they get ready for the draw, it's very simple. What's happening right now is, let's say Forever Young works. The people that like Forever Young are going to tell you that is one of the best works I've ever seen. And the people that don't like Forever Young are going to watch the same workout and go, I think his left hind's off. He was limping. It was so slow. It's unbelievable. Look how here at the 3/8 pole, they had to move his left rein. That's a terrible sign. All that's happening now, the people that love the horses before the works are going to love the works, and the people that hated the horses before the works are going to hate the works. All that's happening now is people that the horses that they love, they're just making cases for them. So I would ignore all of that. I would ignore all the trainer talk, owner talk, all of it. I would ignore it, every bit of it. And I would just look at the horses for who they are. And I told Ryan, and I'll say it better on Saturday when we actually have the draws, but all of these horses this year, the main contenders, I'm not going to call them out, but the main contenders, we know who they are. They all have flaws. You kind of just have to pick the poison you want to roll with, right?
Yep.
If you want to roll with Sierra Leone, you have to tell myself, I'm going to roll with Sierra Leone, but I'm okay that he's going to be last early. I think he's going to get the trip. If you're going to roll with Fierceness, you got to be okay with the fact that he may finish 18th. But if he shows up, he wins, type of thing. Catching Freedom, you want to roll with him, same thing. He's the trip's gonna be weird. He's kind of a mental case. Forever Young, you got to roll with the fact that these horses just haven't come over here and done much. I mean, you're not going to find one that doesn't have a flaw, and there's not a workout or a person or a conversation that's going to give you the answer. I don't think it's that hard of a derby. You're talking pre-draw right now. I really don't. However, you're going to have to make a decision and hope to be lucky on a couple, 3-4 horses. Maybe we can eliminate a couple for the draw. Maybe we can't. But that's kind of just how I view it. There's not a whole lot of overanalyzing to do. You know who they are. Pick your poison. Hope you're right.
Yeah, I'll put what Halterman said a little bit quicker, just in a nutshell, I guess I should say, is I just feel like there's not a single horse in the race this year, Fierceness included, Sierra Leone included, that doesn't have a pretty fine line of success or failure.
Yeah.
So I just think that even the really good ones, at least in this class, are going to have a very small give or take as far as whether it be a good trip, whether it be Fierceness just doesn't run his race or whatever. I just think there's not a horse you can say, well, I think he can overcome this, and this. It's just not going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of excuses in this race, and good and bad excuses. So, I think again, luck is going to play a big part in this year's Derby. So, all right, guys, that's all the time we have. I'm Jared Welch again. Before we get off here, this weekend, make sure you check out the live show with the live post position reactions. We'll talk more about this as we actually see the post positions come up. And then again, it's all hands on deck. We'll be done tons of content. Look for John White's interview on Tuesday. And then, of course, the Blinkers Off will be on Thursday. We'll probably do another one on Friday. Tons of content. Guys, headed your way. Until next time, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck handicapping the Kentucky Derby.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.